Today I'll be showing you how to solve trigonometric equations, okay? So this is our question here. We are required to calculate theta where 0 degrees is less than or equal to theta and theta is less than or equal to 90 degrees. Then this is our given equation. So we're supposed to solve for theta in the equation, right? Okay guys, when they say solve for theta or when they say solve for a particular variable, or whatever that you need to solve, right? All you need to do is just to make sure that that particular variable becomes on one side of the equal sign alone. So what I mean is that if we have theta here, we need to make sure that this theta, it ends up on one side alone, meaning everything else has to move to the other side, okay? So we need to remove everything that we can one by one until we are left with theta by itself on the left hand side. So this is what you're going to do. First of all, guys, we can start by removing what is outside of the brackets, because if you look at theta, theta is inside brackets. So we're going to deal with those that are outside of the brackets and then we move into the brackets afterwards, okay? So let's start with, okay, we have 3 sine theta. We'll just start with the 3, okay? How are we going to remove 3? If we have 3 sine like this, it means that the 3 is the same as saying 3 times sine. Okay, if 3 is attached to sine like that, it is the same as saying 3 multiplied by sine. So 3 there represents multiplication as it is attached to the sine. So to remove the 3, we are going to use the inverse of multiplication because it represents times. I said it's the same as 3 times sine, right? So we are supposed to use the inverse of multiplication, which is division, meaning that I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. That's why we divide, because we use the inverse of what? Of what the 3 represents. If 3 is multiplication, it represents multiplication the way it's situated, then it means that to remove it, we have to use the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So it means that we can just divide by 3 on both sides, like that. Okay, so what is going to happen basically is that the 3 and the 3 here, the two threes, the one on top, the one at the bottom here, they're going to cancel each other out, okay? So when they cancel each other out, that's how we remove the 3. So it means that we just left with what? We are now just left with sine theta over 2, then minus 20 degrees on the left hand side. Then on the other side, 0,85 over 3. Let's just put it on the calculator and see. 0,85 over 3. Okay, 0,85 over 3, it gives me a very long decimal number. Well, in the form of a fraction, it becomes 17 over 60, right, if it's being converted, but it's a very long decimal number. So you know what, let's just leave it exactly as it is, ne? Because we cannot write it as a decimal because it gives us a long decimal number. The decimal number, it doesn't really terminate, so we can't put the entire number on on our screen there. So we're just gonna leave it as it is, and we can't round it off either. Why? Because we are not yet at the final answer, so it's not good to round off before getting to the final answer. Then the next step, guys, for sine, we can just take the sine to the other side, né? We can just take sine and translate it to the other side. So when we take sine to the other side, it means that we're just going to be left with what is in the brackets, which is theta over 2, then minus 20 degrees. Okay guys, one thing you need to know, when sine goes to the other side, it won't become a negative sign. Okay, you don't necessarily change the sign in front of our sign there. You just leave it as sine, as positive sign, but it will become a second function. Okay, so when you take sine to the other side, it becomes the second function of sine. Second function is just indicated by the small number of -1, just slightly above sine there. So that -1, it indicates second function. So when you take sine to the other side, it becomes a second function. So you're going to have the second function of sine, then 0,85 over 3. Then we close our brackets. Okay, let me write to become more visible. 0,85 over 3, like this. So we put the 0,85 over 3 in brackets next to the second function of sine, because now the second function of sine, it affects what? The fraction that we found on the right. Okay, then from here, we're not going to work anything out just yet. We have to make sure that we have theta on one side of the equal sign by itself first, then after we put everything on the calculator. Okay, so first let's take 20 to the other side. So we're going to have theta over 2, right? Then this 20, we're just going to transfer it to the right hand side. So in this way, it's going to be equal to the second function of sine, right? Then in our brackets, we have 0.85 over 3, like this. Then guys, if you take negative 20 to the other side, the sign will change to a positive 20, right? Because it's keeping the equal sign. So you change the sign of negative 20 to become positive 20, you see, right? Then now we're just left with doing a very very simple thing, which is just to get rid of the 2 under theta there. How do we remove the 2? Because the 2, when it's theta over 2 is the same as saying theta divided by 2. Okay, so if it's division, to remove the 2, we use the inverse of division, which is times, meaning that we're gonna multiply by 2. So I'll write theta over 2, then I write times 2, like this. Then I have to times everything else by 2, because you remember what you do on the left hand side of the equal sign, you must also make sure to do it on the right hand side. So the second function of sine here, right, 0.85, then over 3, we times it by 2 as well. I can just put the 2 in front of the second function of sine. All right, equal to, then I put the 2 in front here. When I put the 2 in front, automatically it represents a multiplication, so it's the same as me multiplying it by 2, you see. Then I also times what? Positive 20 by 2, so it's gonna be plus, then I write 20 times 2, times every single thing by 2, so that the equation is not changed. It's still the same thing even though we are multiplying everything by 2. Then in this way, what is going to happen is that you're going to have 2 cancelling 2 here, right? So what's left on the left hand side is now theta. So now we've got to the point that we wanted, where theta is by itself on the left hand side. So we make it the subject of the formula. Then on this side, we still have 2, the second function of sine, right? Then in our brackets is 0.85, then over 3. Then plus what? Plus 20 times 2. 20 times 2 will give us 40 degrees. Then now you can put everything on the calculator. Okay, then because the answer, even though you get a decimal number this time, you can round it off, because we are at the final step where we have theta on one side by itself. But when you're still on some other steps here somewhere, if you are maybe before you get theta on one side, you can't round off. So that's why I didn't convert anything to decimal yet, because I wanted to make sure that we don't round off anything, because if we write the entire decimal number, it's going to be very long and take up space, you know. So it's just better to leave it, and then you change it to a decimal when you get to the final answer, because that's where you can actually round off. Okay, so now I put everything on the calculator. I write sine, then I write second function of sine. Oh, I put 2 first, then I write second function of sine, right? Second function of sine, you just press shift, then sine, then it will bring up the second function. Then I'm going to have my fraction, which is 0.85 over 3 in the brackets, then close brackets, then plus 40. Okay, when I put all of this on the calculator, my final answer becomes 72,9184. It's very long. Okay, so now we can round it off. We can just round it off to 2 decimal places. If it's 9184, then it continues like that. Rounding off to 2 decimal places means that you're gonna round off to the second number after the decimal point. Okay, the second number is what? Is 1. So next to 1 we have an 8. If next to 1 you're going to have a number that is from 5 above, then the 1 will change. When you round it off, it will become 2. Okay, so you're going to say equal to 72,92. The 1 will become a 2, because next to it there is an 8, which is greater than 5. So if it's greater than 5, or it's any number from 5 upwards, then the number that is our 1 there, it will increase to the next number. It becomes 2. So when we round it off, then it's going to be 72,92 degrees. Then you're done. So basically just do it like this, guys. This is a very easy topic. Just make sure that your theta is on one side of the equal sign alone. Then you're done. Okay guys, thank you so much. If you're interested in joining the Maths Doctor Academy, please note that you can just contact the number on the screen here, 081-703-1197, and you're gonna get the availability of two packages, right? The first package is whereby you attend once a week, which is 300 rands per month. Then the second package, you attend 4 times a week, meaning 16 times a month, right? Which is 650 rands per month. Thank you so much.